On late rainy nights, the final train from Tokyo to Nagano embarks on its last journey. It's a lonely ride. The stations it passes are silent, their lights dim and hazy in the downpour. Inside the nearly empty cars, the rhythmic clatter of the wheels on the tracks feels like a solitary heartbeat echoing through the long, dark tunnels. It's a journey that feels suspended in time, caught between the sleeping city and the distant mountains. On such night, a salaryman named Daichi found himself on this very train. He had worked late again and was utterly exhausted. As he sank into a seat, his eyelids heavy, he barely registered the world around him. He noticed that the sprawling train car held only one other passenger, a young girl in a stark white school uniform. Her long black hair was like a curtain, completely obscuring her face as she stared down at the floor. She sat perfectly still, an island of quiet in the rattling carriage. Her hands were folded neatly in her lap, her posture unnervingly composed. As the train pulled into the next station, the doors slid open to an empty platform, then hissed shut. No one got on. No one got off. The train lurched forward, plunging back into the rainy darkness. Daichi, fighting sleep, felt a strange sensation, a subtle shift. It felt as though the girl was now sitting a little closer to him. He blinked, shaking his head. It had to be his tired mind playing tricks on him. He closed his eyes, trying to dismiss the thought. But at the next deserted station and the one after that, the feeling returned stronger each time. A creeping sense of proximity, a silent encroachment on his personal space. He tried to rationalize it, telling himself it was just paranoia brought on by exhaustion and the eerie emptiness of the late-night ride. Finally, his curiosity and a growing unease got the better of him. He slowly, cautiously turned his head to look. His breath hitched in his throat. She was no longer several seats away. She was now sitting directly across from him, her knees almost touching his. Her face, now visible beneath the curtain of wet hair, was a ghostly white, not just pale, but unnaturally, luminously so. Her school uniform was soaked through, clinging to her small frame as if she'd been standing in the torrential rain for hours. A knot of fear tightened in Daichi's stomach, but he fought it down with logic. She's just a girl caught in the rain, he told himself. Maybe she's lost. Trying to appear calm and friendly, he forced a smile. "Did you miss your stop?" he asked, his voice sounding thin and strange in the quiet car. He hoped a simple question would break the suffocating tension that had filled the air between them. The girl didn't respond right away. Instead, she lifted her head with a slow, deliberate movement that seemed to take an immense effort. Her eyes, when they finally met his, were vast, dark voids. They held no light, no reflection, just an endless, empty depth. Her lips, blue with cold, trembled slightly as she parted them. A whisper, so faint it was almost lost in the rhythm of the train, escaped. "I'm going home." An icy chill, colder than the rain-streaked window beside him, shot down Daichi's spine. His forced smile vanished. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight that felt ancient and wrong. His eyes darted up to the digital sign above the door, seeking the comfort of a familiar station name. But the glowing red letters displayed a name he had never seen before, Kisaragi Station. He frowned, his mind racing. He knew this line like the back of his hand. He had taken it hundreds of times. There was no Kisaragi Station. It didn't exist. Just as this terrifying realization dawned on him, the train began to slow, its wheels letting out a long, piercing screech that grated on his nerves. Daichi pressed his face to the window, but there was nothing to see. The world outside was completely enveloped in a thick, swirling fog. There were no station lights, no familiar buildings, not even the silhouette of a tree. It was a canvas of pure, disorienting white. With a final drawn-out hiss, the train doors slid open, revealing nothing but the impenetrable mist. The girl rose from her seat, her movements graceful and silent. She turned to face him, her dark, empty eyes fixing on his. "Will you take me home?" she asked again, her voice still a soft, haunting whisper. Yet it seemed to fill the entire carriage. It was a simple question, but it felt like a terrible, binding invitation. An offer he felt compelled to accept, even as every instinct screamed at him to stay put. Before Daichi could find his voice, before he could even form a single word of refusal, she turned and stepped off the train. She walked directly into the thick, white fog and was swallowed by it in an instant, as if she had never been there at all. The doors began to close. Panicked, Daichi lunged towards the window, pressing his hands against the cold glass. He scanned the swirling mist desperately, but she was gone. All he could see were faint, flickering red lights in the distance like dying embers, before they too vanished into the white. The doors sealed shut. The train didn't wait. It surged forward, accelerating with a sudden, violent jolt. Faster and faster it went, far exceeding its normal speed. The white fog outside blurred into gray streaks, then a dizzying vortex of black. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels became a frantic, deafening roar. Daichi was thrown back into his seat, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. He felt as if the train had broken free from its tracks, hurtling through an endless void. Then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The roaring ceased, replaced by a deafening silence. Carriage was plunged into total darkness as the lights flickered once and died completely. Daichi sat frozen, his senses on high alert, straining to hear anything in the pitch black. A second passed, then another. Just as he started to think it was over, the lights flickered back to life, buzzing erratically, and his blood ran cold. She was there, sitting right beside him, so close her soaked uniform brushed against his heart. Her head slowly, unnaturally tilted until it rested gently on his shoulder. A final chilling whisper brushed against his ear. "Found my home. The last train from Tokyo never arrived in Nagano." The next morning, when the first of the railway workers began their daily checks, they found it. It was stopped, silent and cold, on a remote stretch of track miles from any known station. They searched the train from end to end. Every car was deserted, every seat vacant, except for one. On that single, solitary seat lay a small, wet school ribbon neatly folded, and on the floor beneath it, almost invisible, was the faint, damp footprint of a child. So, a word of warning. If you ever find yourself on that last train from Tokyo on a dark, rainy night and you see a lone girl in a soaked school uniform, do not look at her. Do not acknowledge her. And whatever you do, do not speak to her. Because if she looks at you and whispers, "I'm going home," know this, she has no intention of going alone. Thanks for joining me on this chilling journey. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next descent into the unknown. Stay safe out there.